Today I will be going over the anatomy and physiology of the eye, as well as 5 creative devices of remembering the function of the eye. To begin, the structure of the eye goes with a wall that has 3 distinct layers: a fibrous outer tunic, a vascular middle tunic, and a nervous inner tunic. The outer tunic consists of the cornea, the sclera, and the optic nerve. The middle tunic consists of the choroid coat, the ciliary body, suspensory ligaments, the lens, the iris, and the pupils. The inner tunic consists of the retina, the fovea centralis, the optic disc, and the vitreous humor. To begin, the outer tunic consists of the cornea, which is part of the anterior sixth of the outer tunic. It bulges forward as a transparent structure which helps focus entering light rays. It is composed largely of connective tissue with a thin layer of epithelium on its surface. It is transparent because it contains few cells and no blood vessels. Along its circumference is the sclera, which is the commonly known white portion of the eye. The sclera makes up the posterior 5/6 of the outer tunic and is opaque due to its many large, collagenous, and elastic fibers. The sclera is responsible for maintaining the shape of the eye, protecting the eyeball, and is the site of eye muscle attachment. Last is the optic nerve, which is in the back of the eye. The optic nerve is responsible for transmitting impulses to the brain. Now on to the middle tunic. The middle tunic consists of the choroid coat, which is in the posterior 5/6 of the globe of the eye. It is loosely joined to the sclera and is honeycombed with blood vessels, which nourish surrounding tissues. The coat also contains many pigment-producing melanocytes that help absorb excess light and keep the inside of the eye dark. A creative way of remembering the function of the choroid coat is that, when dissected, the choroid coat looks like a galaxy. In a galaxy, there are black holes that absorb light, which keeps the inside of the black hole dark. Similarly, the choroid coat contains melanin, which absorbs excess light and keeps the inside of the eye dark. As you can see in the picture, the left picture is of a galaxy and a black hole, and the right picture is of a choroid coat dissected from a cow's eye. Next is the suspensory ligaments. The suspensory ligaments are strong but delicate fibers that extend inward from the ciliary processes and hold the transparent lens in position. A creative way of remembering the function of a suspensory ligament is that circus actors, who can be compared to lenses, are held up by suspenders that hold them in position. Next is the ciliary body. This is the thickest part of the middle tunic and extends forward from the choroid coat. It forms an internal ring around the front of the eye. Within the ciliary body are many radiating folds called the ciliary processes and a group of muscle fibers that constitute the ciliary muscles. The ciliary body is generally responsible for holding the lens in place and changing the shape of the lens. Next is the lens. The lens is a transparent structure that lies directly behind the iris and pupil. It is composed of differentiated epithelial cells called lens fibers. The lens capsule is a clear membrane-like structure that is composed largely of intercellular material. Its elastic nature keeps it under constant tension. The lens is responsible for refracting and focusing light rays, which allows for better vision. A creative way of remembering the function of a lens is that people with bad eyesight wear corrective lenses, also known as glasses, to allow nearsighted people to see far things and farsighted people to see things near. Next is the iris. The iris is a thin diaphragm that is composed mostly of connective tissue and smooth muscle fibers. From the outside, it is the colored portion of the eye. It lies between the cornea and the lens and divides the space, which separating it into the anterior chamber and a posterior chamber. The iris is responsible for regulating the amount of incoming light. A creative way of remembering the function of the iris is that the iris is also a flower that has transparent, veiny petals that provide it with distinct colors. These petals are also responsible for collecting sunlight for photosynthesis. Next is the aqueous humor. The aqueous humor is a watery fluid secreted on the inner surface of the ciliary body. It circulates from this chamber through the pupil and surrounds the space between the cornea and lens, helping nourishing these parts and aids in maintaining the shape of the front of the eye. It also maintains intraocular pressure as well as helping to nourish and cushion the cornea and lens. Next is the pupil. The pupil is a circular opening in the center of the iris and into the anterior chamber. The pupil is responsible for admitting light. A creative way of remembering the function of a pupil is that the pupil or the student focuses in order to absorb all the enlightening information his teacher provides him. Next is the inner tunic. The inner tunic consists of the retina, which contains the visual receptor cells, also known as photoreceptors. This nearly transparent sheet of tissue is continuous with the optic nerve. It ends just behind the margin of the ciliary body. It is thin and delicate, but has a complex structure. It has a number of distinct layers and is responsible for absorbing light, storing vitamin A, and forming impulses which are transmitted to the brain. The central region of the retina is a yellowish spot called the macula lutea. A depression in its center, which is called the fovea centralis, is in the region of the retina that produces the sharpest vision. Just medial to the fovea centralis is an area called the optic disc. Here, the nerve fibers leave the retina and the eye and join the optic nerve. A central artery and vein also pass through the optic disc. These vessels are continuous with the capillary networks of the retina. Because the optic disc region has no receptor cells, it is commonly known as the blind spot of the eye. The posterior cavity, which is the space bounded by the lens, the ciliary body, and the retina, is filled with a transparent jelly-like fluid called the vitreous humor. The vitreous body supports the internal parts of the eye and helps maintain its shape.